bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro,
like-
less people wanted that than are currently watching our streams.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asante. Back here once again to review tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. I believe we have just one more Dynamite until All In a couple of weeks, and I believe that one will be in Cardiff, which is going to be kind of cool. But for now, we are in Norfolk, Virginia, so we will stick with our opening contest of the evening. We saw Mercedes Moné face off against Hikaru Shida for the TBS Championship. I will start by saying I was already sad when this got announced because I knew the inevitable was going to happen, and I was correct. I will jump to the end of the match here, where after Shida was able to counter the third of 3 amigos attempted by Mercedes, Shida was able to counter that, into the Falcon Arrow, and we all thought she did the deal for a second, but she didn't, as Mercedes kicked out, and she rolled towards the ropes, which allowed Camille, who was at ringside, to pull her out of the ring. Shida then nailed Camille with a baseball slide and jumped out of the ring, throwing Mercedes back in before nailing Camille with her kendo stick. Mercedes, however, back in the ring, was able to regain her composure, and as Shida went for another swing, Mercedes grabbed the kendo stick and pulled it back into the ring. This distracted the referee, who was like, Mercedes, you got to get rid of the kendo stick. Oh, no. And that allowed Camille, who had recovered herself, to come in and lay in a big boot on Shida. Camille then threw Shida back into the ring, and Mercedes, who had now thrown the kendo stick aside, quickly grabbed the staggered Shida, put her up on her back, and hit the Moné Maker, pinning Shida for the win. After the match, the music of one Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, fresh off her suspension, hit, and Camille head to the base of the ramp in order to defend Mercedes, who was back in the ring, still holding Shida's kendo stick. However, it was quickly noticed by both Camille and Moné that there was a character at ringside dressed in a black hoodie with a hood up and a Sting mask, holding a sign that said DMG greater than CEO, the same way that Dr. Britt Baker had done a couple of weeks ago in order to get the drop on Mercedes and beat the hell out of her. So Mercedes then sends Camille over to this person, who she just rips over the barricade and starts stomping them out.
It is pretty safe, though. In AEW, it's almost safer to attack anyone wearing a Sting mask.
This is fair. Almost every time it's either Sting or occasionally it's RVD or somebody else. Anyway, this distraction allows for Dr. Britt Baker to come in through the crowd on the other side, and to much applause, I might add. And it wasn't like it was subtle, but Mercedes was still distracted enough to allow Britt to get all the way to the apron, where she then took her time putting on the glove, which allowed Mercedes to realize she was there. Britt then stepped into the ring and went right at Mercedes, who swung the kendo stick at Britt, but Britt was able to counter that swing and get Mercedes down for a lockjaw attempt. However, Camille finally realized what the hell was going on, and after trying to drag Mercedes out by her legs, which she could not do because that I think the rings of Saturn that Britt uses to set up the lockjaw was in so tight that Camille couldn't break it, so she literally had to go in and pull the two apart and then drag Mercedes out of the ring for the save. Britt then grabbed the kendo stick for self-defense, as Camille thought about going back into the ring and getting her some, but then realized that the doctor was armed and thought better of it. So, James, a lot going on here. Pretty solid match out of Shida. I thought this was a better match than the one she had with Britt, all being it was Britt's first match back in a long time, so we'll cut the doctor a little bit of slack there. But obviously, the story here is what happened after. Britt returning from suspension, getting this close to putting Mercedes in the lockjaw, and getting a bit of one-upsmanship on Mercedes as we get closer to their match at All In.
No, absolutely. The match pretty much hit everything I needed it to hit. I'm with you. Of course, I'm sad that Shida kind of got used in this situation. But at the same time, I think this was a much better matchup than the Britt match. And I think that has to do with the styles at play here. Shida and Mercedes, like Mercedes has been studying and wanting to wrestle these Joshis for so long. And you have one of the Joshis of like one of the best Joshis of today to go against. And I think that it really played well. And Mercedes is definitely playing the heel a lot better. You know, she is really, really comfortable in this heel role, going to Camille for help, skating to the outside of the ring, doing everything she can to try to gain advantage. And I think she's thriving here. So sad at the outcome, just, you know, because we love her at the Mark It Down podcast, but expected, and as expected as well, a good matchup, a fun matchup. So I'm hoping Britt and Mercedes are really going to be able to surprise us. And I feel bad saying that because I know how good a wrestler Mercedes is, and Britt has delivered time and time again. But I don't necessarily think this is a match that people are expecting a lot from. The feud, sure. The rivalry, sure. The matchup itself, I don't know. But I have a good feeling. I'm really hoping that they're able to wow us. And I think they can.
Yeah, and I know we've got some time before All In. It's soon. It's only in a couple of weeks. Yeah. But, you know, we have another Dynamite. We have 2 more collisions. We have 2 more Rampages if, you know, you want to go that route. I need more out of this feud because I think you're right. I think this is more about the build than the match itself, despite the fact I do think that they're going to have a pretty decent match, although we will see what type of ring shape Britt is in. Obviously, she didn't look great last time we saw her, but I do think that Britt's suspension, kayfabe or otherwise, kind of put a bit of a damper on this whole thing because
I agree.
She hasn't been around to engage in promo battles or, you know, or attack Mercedes or have Mercedes attack her the way things happen tonight. So I'm almost hoping this goes past All In just so we can get more of the build, just because we got kind of robbed of a lot of it, unfortunately. So what was hyped to be such a big buildup has really, for me, fallen flat because of the lack of Britt in recent weeks.
I do think it is going to continue, but I also think it's going to change. I think we're all sort of highly expecting the return of Jamie Hayter.
Highly expecting.
And I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm very much hoping for that. I think we all are. And I could see All Out being a tag team match of Britt and Jamie versus Mercedes and Camille, and then maybe that takes us into another singles match. Or if they really want to surprise us, they turn it into a triple threat with Hayter, Britt, and Mercedes. But who knows? What, you don't think so?
No, I don't know if I'd want that just yet, because I almost feel like that might imply that Jamie's turning sooner than later. But I think you're right. I think it'll be a tag match and then maybe the triple threat.
I don't think it needs to be Jamie who turns. I could see it being
it could be Britt who turns too. But either way, I want to see them back together for more than a week.
I do and I don't, because the reality is, before Jamie's injury and then before Britt was gone for forever, I was ready for them to break up then.
Like, we were definitely getting there because we were at a point where Jamie was overshadowing Britt, and while they were seemingly very close, and we did have the flip of dynamic of, okay, you know, Britt was champ and Jamie was her backup, and now Jamie's champ and Britt is her backup, and they seem very comfortable with that fact. You could very easily write in Britt turning on Jamie because the roles had been reversed.
So for the nostalgia of seeing them together again, I'm cool with the tag team match, most likely at All Out. But after that, I'm fine. I don't. Both women are stars. They don't need to be stepping on one another, in my opinion. But yeah, very exciting time for this division, and this match went back a little bit as we went back to one of AEW's original female stars with Shida. But I'm just happy that she is still able to wow us. Like, not that she wouldn't be able to, but I'm glad that at this stage of the game, we're still constantly impressed with her.
Yeah, and honestly, the only thing I get mad at with Shida is she's just not around all the time. And I understand she has obligations in Japan, and that doesn't necessarily allow her to win championships in AEW anymore. And she's almost like a special treat we get every once in a while when she shows back up. I want some more Shida wins. I know she got one on Collision the other day, which I think set up for this match, but can I get a little more here, please? Just a little bit? I'm dying over here.
For a lot. You're asking for a lot.
I know. It sucks. I love Shida, though. I love watching her wrestle, even if she does lose. So this yeah, like you said, James, this was a very good match out of the two of them. It's always good to see Shida when she's back. So I enjoyed it for what it was. And I am looking forward to the match at All In between Britt and Mercedes, but I just wish there was more as we went towards it. Hopefully they can turn it up to 11.
No, I agree.
The next couple episodes of whatever they got left.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next segment, we went backstage with an interview with Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. Or at least it was supposed to be an interview. So after we replayed the backstage brawl that occurred between Hangman and then mostly him and Lethal, although Jarrett was involved, but he was taken out very quickly after his match against Bryan. Renee then asked the group what how they feel about the fact that they've kind of been a thorn in Hangman's side ever since he returned. Jarrett immediately dismisses this, saying that Hangman's been the one coming after them. He doesn't really know what their beef with Hangman is, but look, they both hate each other now at this point, even though Hangman's real problem is Swerve, and he's pretty much just taking it out on them. As Jarrett finishes up saying this, Hangman barges into the interview, hits both men, goes at Renee, takes the mic out of her hand, slams that into Jarrett's head, taking him down, and then starts brawling with Lethal. They then brawl all the way to the outside and get to the ring, and we head into what was supposed to be their scheduled match. Eventually, the two hit the ring, and the bell does end up ringing, and Lethal uses Hangman's aggression against him, tossing him out of the ring and hitting a series of tope suicidas. However, Hangman was able to recover, regain the advantage, and hit a deadeye on the apron before tossing Lethal into the timekeeper's area as we headed into commercial. Later in the match, we saw Lethal countering another deadeye and then go into a figure four attempt, but Hangman was able to prevent this by pretty much just sticking his thumb straight into Lethal's eye and not letting go until the referee pretty much yanked it out. Paige then gets up, lays in this absolutely vicious discus clothesline.
It really was brutal.
Turned Lethal inside out to the point where commentary was like, Hangman does not need to go for this buckshot lariat. Lethal is out on his feet. However, Hangman does end up hitting that buckshot and easily pins Lethal for the win. So, James, a very, very vicious Hangman here from even before the opening bell when he attacked the two men at the interview. Almost got into it with Renee, which is a risky proposition.
I'm going to say, before we get into the matchup of anything, Renee was getting it tonight. People were giving it to Renee, and I am not here for it.
I'm sure there's somebody else who won't be here for it either.
And I'm waiting for it. But regardless of that, we'll get to him eventually, and I'm shocked he's not involved in this build-up for All In at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. But regardless of all that, this is what we've been wanting from Hangman, right? We want this vicious Hangman who's losing himself again, but in a different way than we're used to him losing himself. Usually in the past, when he loses his way and he stumbles, it's due to insecurity, it's due to self-doubt. This is a very focused, very angry Hangman. He's wrong. He's the bad guy here, but it's him taking charge in a way. And I miss my anxious millennial cowboy. I really do. But it's good to see such a fired up Hangman, even if he is taking out the good guys and the slap nuts. I don't know if they're good guys or not. I really don't know. It's weird.
They're on the line.
Yeah, right. He was brutal, like in a fair, like I don't want to say fair way, because like he did attack prior to the match and everything. But this isn't a Hangman who's cheating or anything, you know? He's not like using weapons. He's not getting interference or anything. He's just brutalizing his opponents week in and week out. And I love Jay Lethal. I've loved Jay Lethal for years, going back to Ring of Honor. So it's always sad when he's not getting pushed the way I think he deserves to get pushed. Like after the Continental Classic, I was really hoping things would turn around for him.
Right
and
after all of that, we thought we were going to get something, whether it was a split from Jeff and the rest of the Slapnuts, or some sort of run towards something, whether it was in Ring of Honor or in AEW. But he's also seemingly been doing nothing afterwards, which sucks because they set something up that could have been pretty decent.
Yeah, my hope is that he turns it around. Like somehow, I don't know how kayfabe you explain it, but my hope is that he finds his way back into the Continental Classic again for like the second year, and
which is coming up soon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and he just shows up. That's really my hope. That's really my hope.
I'd be here for that. I mean, took a while, but it would be a pretty good bookend, I guess.
Yeah. But good matchup. I still don't know where Hangman lands for All In. Do you do the match? Do you do the rematch against Jeff Jarrett? I don't think so. It was such a definitive beating of Jarrett during the tournament that unless you really shenanigan this with like stipulation type matches, gimmick matches,
it's going to have to be if they do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that match again. And now Jay Lethal, who is the guy of the team who actually wrestled, not that Jarrett doesn't wrestle, but like the fit-bodied person of the team, has just also definitively been beaten. I also don't see Hangman going after Okada anymore. I don't think that's happening anymore. It felt like it made so much sense, but I don't think so.
That's the weird thing. Like, that was the play to me, was Okada Hangman for the Continental title at All In. Two big names. Maybe they just don't want to give Hangman another loss to Okada at this point, but because I think Okada is keeping that belt until after the next Continental Classic. So, and maybe beyond, who knows? We'll see. But that felt like a very big and good matchup, and definitely one I think you could make a good argument that Hangman would win the title, or you could try to at least, although I'm pretty sure, like I said, you don't want Okada losing that just yet. And B, I don't think Hangman needs or should have a title right now, considering his character arc. So it's weird. It's a tough call. Like I'm like, he's got to be on that card, but like, is Jarrett's your move right now? And no disrespect to him, I'm enjoying what he's doing, but against Heyman, Jarrett doesn't seem like the move right now.
Not on the biggest show of the year.
Exactly.
Not on the biggest show of the year. It's not a knock on Jarrett, who we praise on this pod week in and week out for everything he's been doing since he came.
And week in, week out, I continue to say that it's absolutely fucking wild, but
it's just, again, no knock on him. If you want to put him in the gauntlet match, sure.
That'd be funny.
Put him in the gauntlet match if you're adamant about him being on the card, but like, no, you don't have him featured like that. You just don't. So I really don't know where Hangman lands. I mean, granted, we're all sort of speculating about things Hangman will get involved in.
There's a lot of different spots.
But at the same time, for him not to have a match feels bizarre.
Yeah, he's in a really weird spot right now. And unless he just doesn't want to go over to Wembley for the week, rumors being, I think the rumor was that he had another kid, and that's why he
I haven't heard that
for so long. I saw that on Reddit. It's, like I said, unsubstantiated rumor. But should that be the case and he wants to spend more time at home and doesn't want to spend a week over in the UK, I could understand him not being on the card. But
yeah, no, for sure.
But at the same time, like, not having Hangman Adam Page on the biggest show of the year when he's on a very interesting and intriguing run following a very long layoff seems weird to me, and it seems like a missed opportunity.
I completely agree.
All right. Sticking with All In, we then went to a video package for MJF versus Will Ospreay for the AEW American Championship at All In. This was a big promo package. It was actually fairly lengthy, all things considered. We did get some highlights beforehand of MJF's title defense in Rev Pro against a friend of Will Ospreay. I apologize, I did not get his name. But obviously this guy lost. And then after the match, MJF hit him with the belt and a Tiger Driver 91, and then was about to hit this guy's fiance with the Tiger Driver 91 before Ospreay made a surprise appearance and came in for the save and to the aid of his friend. We then got the promo package for the match that I mentioned, and I thought there was a notable highlight that I hadn't seen yet, which was from backstage after MJF had attacked Fletcher and bloodied him up following their match a couple of weeks ago. And Fletcher asked Ospreay why he just won't hit the Tiger Driver, and Will responds that no matter how much of a prick MJF is, nobody deserves to be hit by that move. And that was actually juxtaposed with Will continuing to wrestle with hitting it versus not hitting it in an interview. So I thought that was an interesting part of that package, James. Normally we kind of just breeze through these, but I thought that because it was so lengthy and there was some new stuff in it, I thought it pertinent to bring it up and get your opinions on what we saw out of this.
Oh, no, I agree, especially because they weren't on the rest of the show. You know, you didn't see them on the rest of the card. So it makes sense if you're going to put them in a package to make it as long as possible. I've seen a lot of people criticizing MJF's heel run right now, that it feels very low-hanging fruit with this American stuff. And I agree. And I've criticized MJF of low-hanging heel fruit in the past. In his initial heel run, I criticized it quite a bit, that I felt he was taking cheap heat, and he's better than that. I think in this instance, though, it works. We've seen MJF have feud after feud where he goes against these undeniably talented people, whether it's Bryan Danielson or, again, now Will Ospreay or whoever, undeniably talented people. And then MJF gets the win, and he's like, yeah, this is your work rate guy that I just beat.
Again.
I don't need that to be the basis of the feud. We get it. MJF is better than you, and we know it. But this is to get under Will's skin. I don't think MJF cares that much about this American stuff.
He clearly doesn't, because America to him is Long Island.
Exactly. I genuinely just see him doing this as, I know this is annoying him. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it corny? Yes. But it's working. So there you go. We've already seen that they're going to have a match. We know it. They're going to have a match. But this is him just screwing with the guy. And he changed the title that meant a lot to him, to Will, and its lineage, its legacy. And now he's just being a snooty heel. Like, sure, he could attack his family. He could attack his wife. He could attack his dog or whatever.
I think he brought up his grandmother at one point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. But these are two guys that don't really have a lot in common. They don't have a lot of history. It's just Will Ospreay is considered the best in the world right now. And MJF consistently wants to show that he's the best in the world. Stop underestimating him. But we've been to that well a few times, so I'm fine with all of this. Him hitting the Tiger Driver at Rev Pro was a good touch, especially after the match. I think it would have been better if he actually just finished the match with it. But
gotta get that brain buster over, though, man.
Yeah. There is an interesting thing here, though, that he hit the move on the guy, and the guy was able to walk away. Will's hit that move multiple times, and we're always worried that he's injured the guy. I think that'd be a great story point to play on, that it's not the move that's dangerous, it's Will that's dangerous. And I really hope they're able to touch on that, but I don't think they're going to.
No, I think it's that the move is dangerous, and when you hit it properly, you don't kill people. But at the same time, if you don't, and you can kind of say, well, maybe didn't hit it properly against Bryan, and that's why he got injured. And I'm not saying that Will is dangerous, just saying that it's such a difficult and dangerous move to hit properly that it's just not worth doing. So maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know. I think my problem, though, with the MJF stuff, at least the American stuff, is it's not just to needle Will, it's also to get super booed by this British.
Yeah, Wembley.
But we're doing all the buildup in America, and especially
Southern America.
I was going to say, they're running the South right now. It is very, very difficult to get booed wearing an American flag in the South. And MJF has kind of managed it, but then, he says one nice thing about America, and all of a sudden USA chants begin again, even though he just called them all meth heads 2 minutes ago. So I think that's kind of annoying me. Like, it's just, this isn't even low-hanging fruit just because it just doesn't work here. It's hard being the pro-American heel. They're trying to do this just for Britain, but the whole buildup is just, like I said, it's in America and it doesn't work for me. That's my take. I get your point. He's just trying to annoy Will, but they're also really not making a point of it annoying Will outside of just, he changed the title name, bruv, and you're disrespecting the title, bruv. Have it be make it more known that Will's annoyed, not just by, the title change, but Fletcher had a better promo of why he's annoyed that MJF is feigning all this patriotism than Ospreay has yet. Because Fletcher was like, I love this country because I came here and it's given me everything I've ever wanted. Ospreay has just been like, I'm really ticked off that you're disrespecting this title's lineage. And you could do so much more. And maybe it's just because Ospreay I don't think he lives here full time as opposed to Fletcher. But it's not hitting properly because the crowds refuse to boo MJF full time. I know it's going to hit next week. They're in, I think they're in Wales next week or something, and they're in Cardiff. So it'll probably hit a lot better next week. But so far, it's just not for me.
No, and I think it's fair. But I think it's more of an indictment on the planning of this feud than it is the heel work. I think MJF is doing the best he can given the circumstances.
Yeah, I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the gimmick.
Yeah. So, by the way, can we just acknowledge really quickly? I really hope Cardiff gets a good show because but here's the thing. They've had great shows these last two Clash at the Castle. Or it was one Clash at the Castle that it was Cardiff?
Yeah.
But I really want them to get a happy finish. I don't want them to go home upset. And Cardiff has gone home upset before.
Well, I don't know who's going to be on the card just yet, although I do think Claudio versus Okada is.
I do too. Which I want to get to in a second. But when we get to it, I have things to talk about. I don't want to skip through the promo.
I was not planning on it.
All right.
However, sticking with people who were annoyed at MJF, we then came back from commercial to a backstage promo from Pac. He is obviously very pissed at both Ospreay and MJF. He is pissed at Ospreay because Ospreay went behind his back to Tony Khan and jumped in front of the line for a shot at the international, and this is the only time he corrected himself, American Championship. And then he refused to correct himself the rest of the time. Stealing what was going to be his Wembley moment. Pac will still get his moment, but in the meantime, he announces he will be cashing in his opportunity as the number one contender to the American Championship at All Out, where he'll be taking back his international championship. So, do like the fact that the other British guy refuses to call it the American Championship, James. But I am sorry, what were you going to say?
Did he earn it?
It was kind of around the same time.
He earned it while Ospreay was still champion.
Yes.
Because we kept saying, wow, Ospreay versus Pac is going to be an excellent matchup.
Yeah, and you were a little concerned about that because you're like, oh, I think we could do better. And I'm like, it's two British guys in England. What else do you want?
But I knew that wasn't going to happen.
And then MJF won the title. and then will win to Tony Khan and invoke a rematch, or got himself a rematch. So you can kind of argue, okay, Pac's number one contender. I know we don't really do rematch clauses in AEW, but we do allow them occasionally if it's some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Tony's pretty forgiving. So Pac has beef here, I think.
I think that's fair.
All right. Moving on from that, we then went to a Darby Allin promo package. This was pretty cool. Darby was just walking around, and he once again regales us of the story of what was going on with him and his life when he heard AEW started. This time adding in the details about when he heard Jungle Boy got hired. His first reaction was, who the fuck is Jungle Boy?
Griff Garrison?
And who the fuck is Griff Garrison? And then Darby realized that Jungle Boy was a guy who had gotten a couple indie bookings in California. And that's when he realized that the Elite were pretty much just going to sign all of their friends to AEW. Obviously, Darby worked his way in, and it was the place that he thought where he was going to be able to be himself. As for Jack faked being Jungle Boy for all those years, but now he's finally being who he is. And Darby questions what Perry has ever brought to AEW, as he's the one busting his ass every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Darby wonders if Jack ever even understood how important AEW is, because if he did, he would treat it with much more respect. And then Darby finishes off by saying when Jack had all of his bullshit last year, he wishes Jack actually got fired because nobody, not him, not the locker room, not the fans, would have missed him. We then went into what I believe was supposed to be a match for Darby, but as he made his entrance, he was immediately attacked by a hooded and masked Jack Perry. Jack just came running up the ramp, kind of dressed as like a crew guy, black hoodie, face mask on for COVID or whatever, and just hit him with a running knee. Jack unmasked himself, dragged Darby to the back, where we then found cameras following them as they wrestled around amongst a bunch of road cases. Darby seemingly got the upper hand for a second, but as he was running away, Jack just winged the metal garbage can at him and hit him in the back of the head. Jack then went over and threw Darby into one of those like metal security doors that go up and down. I don't really know what to call those. It's like they're kind of like garage doors, but they're not. Yeah. Anyway, he threw him into that and then pinned Darby underneath it, right around his chest area, bending over and yelling at Darby that he only sacrifices for himself and pretends to be a hero. Jack goes to get one of the road cases that they were wrestling on and tries to wheel it into Darby's head, but a bunch of security comes swarming in, prevents Jack from doing that, and as they're dragging him away, Jack screams out that he wants to beat Darby at his own game and challenges him to a coffin match at All In for the TNT Championship, which is then very quickly made official by one Tony Khan. So, James, a lot happened here between.
I was let down. There wasn't nearly enough Taco Bell. There was no awkward interruption. There was no technical difficulties in the back.
Next Taco Bell.
What are we even doing here? I'm glad they had the moment, though. I am very glad they had the moment, especially after last week. It was supposed to be a really cool moment that got memed because of Taco Bell. And it
was honest. Arguably, I saw on Reddit, it was maybe the most talked about thing from the show last week, which I think said a lot about the show.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I'm glad that Perry is showing a vicious streak, because realistically, it's what he was showing before he left, before he got suspended.
Yep.
Like, say what you will about the real glass thing. That was him hardening up his character.
Yeah. And healing up as well. Like, he wasn't taking a real shot. He was just, heel memeing.
Oh, no. I do think he was taking a shot. I do. Look, say what you will about how all that played out. I think Perry was doing something immature with that moment. But it's not like he's the first one to have done it.
Nope.
But beyond all that, I think it's good to see him doing this stuff. It's good to see him being pissed that he's in this matchup, because he wasn't the one who quit, but he's the one who has to suffer the consequences of it. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Darby wrestled the coffin match at last year's All In, right? It was the tag team match with him and Sting against Swerve and Christian.
Yep.
So I don't think he's ever lost the coffin match.
Not that I can think of.
And that kind of does have me worried that I think Perry might actually get it. Because they want him to get that heel heat.
It would work. And if you are going to have somebody hand Darby his first loss in a coffin match, this version of Jack Perry is a pretty good guy to do it because, as you said, it does put a lot of heat on him. So,
yep.
Could be interesting. What did you think about Darby's promo beforehand? Because I actually really liked it.
I do too. And he's talked about it in the past. It's always been alluded to, even before the heel turn for Perry. He's one of those California boys that the Bucks like. You know, like we all love SCU. There's a reason, you know. There's a reason they were so quickly hired into the company. And again, I say that as somebody who loved every member of SCU. So I like that about Darby. I liked acknowledging his road was different than Perry's. It was. And that's not to take away from Perry's road. Perry has kicked ass getting to where he is now. But I could see how somebody like Darby would be resentful of that when he had no connections, when it was all just his work ethic. It was all his sacrificing that put him in this position. So I did like it. And I don't think the term has been thrown around much in this feud, but the 4-pillar aspect is still there to me.
Yeah.
So I like that these guys feel so personally connected. I like that these 4 guys' careers are likely going to be connected or entangled for a very as long as they're in AEW. You know? So I thought the promo was great. I think Darby, there was a time I used to think Darby was a bad promo, and I haven't felt that way in a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that way in a long time. So good promo from Darby, good heel work from Jack Perry, and they've definitely made me more curious now about their match for All In. So successful segment as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, coffin match obviously upped the stakes a lot. I guess my only critique of the Darby promo is because it was very well delivered. I just feel like we hear the story a lot of him like, I was sleeping in my car and I heard AEW was starting. It's like, bro,
hey, man.
We get it.
Hey, man, how many times have we heard The Rock tell the $7 in his pocket promo or the $7 in his pocket interview?
True.
It made him a multi-millionaire.
Very true. And I mean, he named his production company after it, for fuck's sake. I granted Darby did do a little bit more with it this time. There was a friggin' grasshopper on top of my screen and I got him. Let's go.
That's bad luck, bro. That's bad luck. You're not supposed to kill those things.
Nah, it's not a grasshopper. It's cricket. Anyway.
Wait, which one is the bad luck one?
I don't fucking know. It's green and it was flying and it landed and I killed it. Anyway, he did add the stuff with Jack now though, but it wasn't a cricket thing. Oh yeah, it was green. It was great. Crickets are black. See, now you're confusing me. I know my freaking phone.
I didn't say anything. I just said that's bad luck, and you're like, oh, it's not this, it's that. You turned yourself over.
It's not the one that's bad luck. Either way, he did bring in some more stuff with Jack, but then again, I do think he had brought up that stuff with Jack before the 4 Pillars match, where, as you mentioned, it was established that while they were both faces at the time, they don't like each other.
Yeah.
So this felt slightly repetitive, but Darby delivered it so well, I honestly didn't mind the reminder.
Yeah.
So good job out of both men with these segments. And as you said, the coffin match definitely makes things more intriguing at All In. All right. We then moved on to another promo package. This time it was Mariah May's. She said it was a movie. It was a promo package. It was very, very well done. It actually starts off in black and white before Mariah immediately cuts it off saying, we don't do that shit anymore. She then goes off saying, reminding Toni Storm that she failed it All In last year, but Mariah is smart enough to only copy Toni's successes, not her mistakes. And Toni's greatest mistake was being alive at the same time as her. Tony wanted to be a star, and now she is going to burn. And as Mariah is saying this, she takes all of Tony's gear that she has worn over the last year or so, along with some pictures of them, douses it in gasoline, and lights it on fire by dropping a match in the middle of it. Mariah says that Tony will obsess over her until the day she dies, but Tony will forget her screams, her tears, even the taste of her blood.
Mariah would forget her. Mariah would forget her. Yeah.
Yes.
You said Tony would forget her.
Either way. Mariah finishes off by telling Tony not to worry. They're both going to die one day, but Mariah will be the one who gets to write Tony's eulogy. This is one of those things, James, where I'm clearly not doing it justice, especially considering the fact I said Tony instead of Mariah, and you called me out on it.
I apologize. I wasn't sure.
No, you're right. But this was great. This is probably it's one of the best things Mariah has done since she's turned heel, although I think everything she's done has been great since she has turned heel. But this was, because it was a higher production value, was on a bit of a different level here. And I loved it. And it added a lot to this, I think. It really threw some weight behind Mariah as a character. And she just took Tony out at the knees here. I'm going to forget about the taste of your blood is a bar.
Yep. It's the first time since the split that I have been super confident that Mariah will do well outside of the feud. It's the first, it's never been an indictment on her, this feeling. It's just every time we see the sidekick betray or finally split off from the head guy, that person, heel or face, tends to flounder. Like we've talked about it, Wardlow is probably the biggest example in AEW.
Yeah, once that initial feud is over, It's hard to find the footing for the next one because the story is not built in.
It's the Sandow, it's the Alex Riley, it's a rough position to be in if you're not given something to work with. I am now very confident Mariah can do whatever with this and turn it into something. I'm rooting for her to win, if I'm being honest. And not because it's not because I'm rooting for Tony to lose. I love Tony. And if she were to be champion for another year, I'd be here for it. It's just, I think there is so much you can accomplish with Mariah right now. I think there is so much that Mariah can do as a heel champion. And this viciousness, but also mixed with apathy, is, I think there's something there that would just be great. Like later on in the night, we saw a viciousness out of Swerve. But to me, it feels personal. Because this is a guy who's insecure about his spot. I believe it when Mariah says, I don't care about Tony at all.
It's almost not even apathy. It's almost like she's just being aloof.
Yeah.
To borrow a great line, you're the loof. But no, it's like she just thinks she's above Tony, above everybody. Yeah. So she's literally wasting her breath on Tony right now, wasting her time even thinking about her. So once this is over and she's got the title, Tony is going to become just irrelevant to her.
And I think, admittedly, speaking it out, I do think it's just as intriguing to see what's going to happen to her character if she does lose. Because now you have somebody whose confidence is utterly rocked and she's already dangerous. So where does that send her? But regardless of all that, this segment was great. It was her own spin on the classic Tony movie, Tony video. So I think it really worked. And
also, Tony made films, by the way.
Cinema. You're correct.
Cinema.
I've been saying it. I think this is the feud that has the most heat. Like, obviously, I'm more emotionally invested in Bryan Danielson, but objectively, I don't think there's a story that has had more emotion written into it and delivered than this one.
Yeah, and you can look at Squared Circle, and everybody on the threads involving anything with this feud says, if it wasn't for Swerve and Bryan, this could main event, and I would not have a problem with it because of the emotion. Because Mariah's going to be on her home turf, and I know Tony is Aussie, but they back her there a lot too. So there's going to be, the crowd's going to be really behind this, and I wish it could main event, honestly. It just, in Bryan Danielson's possible retirement match, it has to go on last. It just has to. Those are the rules. For me personally, I thought Mariah was going to be okay after she did the promo dressed as Tony.
Yeah.
But even though that crowd did their best to kill it.
Yeah.
But this cemented that for me. She will be perfectly fine. She's great in the ring. She can do vignettes. She obviously do the promos. We know that. I think she had a pretty decent one the other week with Renee too. Yeah. So this girl is total package, for wrestling and otherwise bonk. So,
oh no, my bonk is coming. It's not here.
Hey yo. So I'm not worried about her. I am intrigued to see what happens. I hope she wins. I think, like you said, I think there's a little more there if she wins than if she loses, especially because you have built this character up so much in recent weeks that I feel like a loss here really knocks her back down, as opposed to a win continues that rise. So look, it's going to be tough to see Tony lose. I love Tony. I love this character that she's doing, but I think Mariah kind of needs this more. So I'm pulling for her a bit more. All right. What is your bonk?
Oh no, it's not with these women.
Oh, is it this one? As we move on to a follow-up to this promo with a backstage interview with the returning Mina Sharakawa.
Bonk.
It was so nice. It was so nice to see Mina, not just because of that, but just because I like her a lot, and I missed her being on AEW television. So Renee asked Mina if she's heard from either Mariah or Tony since everything has happened with their split. But Mina says that she hasn't heard from either of them, even though she still loves them both. She can't believe that these are the same people, as she's never seen Mariah so vicious or Tony so obsessed. Renee asked Mina who she thinks is going to win at All In, but Mina eschews the question and just hopes that neither of them get hurt. So curious to see if she gets involved.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. I don't know on whose side. But you don't just bring her back for no reason, right?
Well, I heard that she's going to be back for a little bit. Ooh, so I don't know how long a little bit is. Maybe it's to All In. Maybe it's to All Out. We were confused last week about which of the foreign talent would be able to go.
Yep. That was going to be my question. Can she go?
But we now know Okada can. He'll be in Wales.
Ah, good point. So.
Which makes it weirder that he's not wrestling at All In. But again, I have a
theory
on that. I do have a theory on it. But makes more sense for her to be pro Mariah, right? Like, that's her girl. She just banged Tony.
Allegedly. Dude. It was implied. It wasn't never. They never really confirmed it. It was just implied. Anyway, it's a real like Chekhov's gun thing here, where you don't just have her do that interview and then not have her get involved in some way, shape, or form. So I'm curious to see what they do with her. I would imagine she would be able to go. She's probably just in the country on like a short-term work visa, so I don't think that would fuck up her Japanese passport being able to go.
I guess that's
over
true.
To the UK. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like Ishii's probably going to be there, right? And he's just here part time. So
knows anymore.
I would think so. Because I imagine he's probably going to be in the Casino Gauntlet match.
Well, probably. But here's the thing: we got Ishii because we gave up Takeshita.
Yeah,
and Takeshita's going to be coming back very soon.
Yep, G1 just hit the playoffs. So
yeah.
Did he make it? I forgot to look at.
I don't know. I know he's been on a tear, but I don't know what his points are.
Yeah. So yeah, I know Ishii's leaving soon, but we do get Takeshita back, so that'll be cool. It'll also help the Don Callis stuff move along, whether that's Will or otherwise.
All two members of the family.
Yep. Well, at least that sets up a 2-on-2. So there you go. All right. Moving on. After this, we actually, with the Casino Gauntlet match, got a match for who's going to be the number one entrant in that match. A lot of people were like, why would you want to be number one? Because you have the best chance of winning. It's the opposite of the Royal Rumble.
This match is incredible, right? This match is incredible.
The Gauntlet match or this triple threat?
I mean, the triple threat was amazing, but the concept of the Gauntlet is just incredible.
Oh, I love it. When they first did it, I think they were at Daly's place that first time right after World's End. I was like, oh, it was amazing. Yeah, I remember I was trying to break it down here on the pod, and I couldn't because there was just too much going on, but it was fantastic. New guy comes in, fresh as hell, but like it's the scramble for the pinfalls or submissions. It's awesome. Kudos to whoever created the concept. As for this match, it saw Orange Cassidy face off against Kyle O'Reilly, face off against Roderick Strong. This match was pretty long. It went to commercials, and right before the first one, we actually had the Kingdom come down and try to get involved, but we had Mark Briscoe and Tomohiro Ishii come down and throw their asses back out of the ring. So that kind of calmed everything down there. Shout out to Conglomeration. I will skip towards the end here. So we have Kyle and Roddy going at it, and Orange is kind of out on his feet. And then Roddy attempts a jumping knee at Kyle, but Orange steps in and pushes Kyle out of the way and then ends up taking that bullet. We have a bit more back and forth between Strong and O'Reilly before Roddy hits the ropes and is able to hit a sick kick onto Kyle. Strong then tries to follow that up with the Den of Heartache, but Kyle is able to counter it like almost midair and basically get into a flying armbar, which is pretty fucking cool. However, as he's trying to lock that in and he's leaning back, he's starting to lean back towards Orange Cassidy, who comes to, realizes there's a person right there for him to pin, gets Kyle and pins him with a crucifix 1, 2, 3, and gets the win. Kyle, after Orange breaks the pinfall, is immediately just pissed the fuck off. He's punching the mat, and he was really, really ticked. Roddy just left.
He's used to losing.
Yeah. Eventually, though, O'Reilly's able to cool down, and he sees Orange, and he hugs him, and congratulations him. Has the ref hold Orange's hands up, and then holds his hand up himself, and it looks like the conglomeration is all good. James, like I said, long match, good match, and we're setting up Kyle getting a little annoyed with the conglomeration, possibly teasing a team up with the Kingdom. So, good stuff out of the three men. It's going to be cool seeing Orange go first in this match. If I'm not mistaken, he won the first one?
No.
Oh, no, Will won the first one.
And the second one.
And,
there's only been two, and Will won both. This third one, they had to take him out of the match because he was just going to win that too. I think
did he get pinned in the first one then? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Remember.
He was definitely involved in the finish of one of them. And I'm pretty sure it was the first one. So
I honestly don't remember. But
either way, I enjoyed this. What I saw of it, I was also kind of making dinner at the same time. Dude, the beef. I had to get the chicken out before it burns. But everything I saw was very, very good.
Orange wrestled at All In last year, right?
I believe so. I will check.
I know he lost the title to Moxley at All Out a week later. But did he... Hold on, I'm checking now. Orange did not wrestle at All In. Huh. He defended the title in the main event against Moxley at All Out.
Right.
So I think it's cool that he's going to be number one in this matchup because Wembley didn't get Orange last year, and now they're going to get him in a gauntlet match going probably the distance or like going pretty far.
Yeah. Well, everyone goes the distance. The match
but what I mean, like he's going the distance is what I mean. Like there will be a distance
for speed.
So I think the right guy won in this instance, and I think it told a story. For one, you did a great job of recapping a lot of the highlights of the match, but there was a thread that kind of changed throughout the match. Early on, especially around the first commercial break, Orange hits a tope to the outside onto Roddy, And then Kyle almost hits a running knee from the apron to the outside onto Orange, but Orange catches him visually, and Kyle doesn't do it, and then he sort of lets him in the ring, like he does, like he pushes the rope. And then as the match progresses, they start to go after one another.
Right, because in that commercial PIP, they were squaring off, and then eventually Roddy got back into the ring.
And then they were setting up for Orange and Kyle to do a tag team move onto Roddy.
Right, the high-low.
And then Roddy counters it, but Kyle still hits it on Orange. So we went from, I'm not going to hurt Orange, and this is almost a handicap match against Roderick, who I thought was the MVP of the match, by the way, to, I'm going to team with Roderick to take down Orange if I gotta. They both double pinned him.
Not only did they double pin him, they double submitted him at one point as well.
I would not be shocked, especially with the finish, and especially given the circumstances of what's going on with the Undisputed Kingdom, if Kyle joins. I wish we didn't get here. I wish it wasn't the result, and I wish that if we were going to get here, they had done it a lot sooner than they did, because they've been working on making that happen. They've been teasing that happening for months with Roddy and the rest of the Kingdom trying to get him in, and him just continuously rejecting them.
Right, to the point where the Kingdom's fed up about it, and Roddy's trying to be like, no, he'll do it, don't worry.
So, that is what it is, but it would give Kyle a direction right now, because we talked about the conglomeration being chaos, just a bunch of good guys who are fighting bad guys with no real story. I wouldn't mind Kyle having a story. And I wouldn't mind that group getting bolstered a little bit with no Wardlow and Adam Cole just being dead.
Again?
It's always the friends that get you. But, yeah, I thought this match really delivered. Roddy was just stunning with some of the backbreakers he hit.
He is the Messiah.
He is the Messiah. He hit an epic one onto the apron from the outside. I forget. I think it was to Kyle. I don't think it was to Orange. He hit a great tilt-a-whirl backslam. Backbreaker. Right? So, excellent matchup. Excellent storytelling. And I'm going to be sad to see Kyle turn heel, but I think the writing's on the wall now.
Yeah, there's been some smaller dominoes that have fallen in terms of him probably joining the Kingdom. I think this is the biggest one so far to have to fall. It's those memes where it's like the little tiny domino, and then there's the domino taller than the guy at the end of it. We're we've got the first couple of small ones tumbling, and now some of the bigger ones are probably going to start going. Yeah. So we'll see where that ends up going. It's gonna hurt. I love Kyle. I like cool Kyle a little more than I like heel Kyle, but it makes sense that he does end up joining them. Just from a storyline wise, is that going to leave what's left of the conglomeration down a guy or down two guys?
Because we're going to lose Ishii soon.
Yeah, Ishii's going to go back to Japan, so they're going to have to recruit some more friends. We'll see.
I know Mark will never go for a tag title again. He has no intention of ever being in a tag team again, and I respect that 110%.
Yeah.
But him and Orange as a tag team it works.
It would be funny. I have a couple of people that could help them out once they're done with a cowboy. Maybe if they'd want to help, go get Lethal and Slap Nuts. Yeah.
Wow.
Briscoe has worked with Lethal before in AEW, and they've obviously acknowledged their past.
Yeah.
And if they're leaning face, I don't know what beef Orange has had with Lethal or Jarrett. I think they've had a couple of.
I think they might have had too.
They might have had a small feud, but I feel like you can make it work. I feel like they could, and it would be kind of funny. So
yeah, I'd be here for it. Orange just casually always riding on the shoulders of Satnam Singh. Yeah, I'm here for it.
That would be funny, and it gives you a 4-on-4 between the Kingdom Roddy and Kyle versus. Jeff, Jay, Mark, and Orange.
Yep.
There's your numbers game. All right. But we'll see what happens with all of that in the near future. We then, after this match, went backstage to a face-to-face between the Continental Champion, Kazuchika Okada, and his number one contender, Claudio Castagnoli. Renee starts off.
Not to be corny, but the Rock meme, goosebumps, you know? That's what I felt watching that.
Renee starts off by asking Claudio what the Continental Classic meant to him and what that championship would mean to him. And he says he loved fighting in the tournament, and even though he fell a little short, he's glad he was able to keep fighting and eventually fight and get another opportunity at the title, because you don't get a lot of those in your lifetime. Okada just laughs at him and basically hits him with a fine speech.
Yeah, all right, you know it, right? I was like one head rub away.
I think he said
perfect.
I think he said nice speech, but close enough.
Yeah.
He then says that 12 men fought for the title, but he is the only champion. Okada calls himself the greatest tournament wrestler of all time. He won the G1 4 times. He's now the only winner of the Continental Classic. And Claudio will respect him as such. Okada says he will win next week. He will remain the champ after the Continental Classic. So good luck, bitch. And then he just leaves. Big pop for him saying bitch, by the way. Claudio gets seriously pissed at Okada's reply, saying that he hopes the real Okada, the true Rainmaker, the guy who won the G1 4 times, the guy who main evented the Tokyo Dome countless times, he hopes that Okada shows up next week. Not the joke who's only here to make his EVP friends laugh, because Claudio is going to bring his best next week, and if the true Okada doesn't show up, he'll have 99 problems, and this bitch will be number 1. Which honestly might be the second greatest line Claudio has ever had in a promo.
What's number 1?
When Moxley was cutting that promo about how him and Claudio were great tag team partners, the same way FTR were, and that they always know what each other's thinking. And he goes, Claudio, what am I thinking about right now? And Claudio just goes, your wife's glutes. And Mox just said, like, throws a face like, shit, he's right.
Now I am.
But James, I was actually, for two guys who aren't necessarily known for their promo work, at least in English, this was great from them. Yeah, Claudio gave a very generic answer to start with, but Okada probably said the most he has said since he has gotten to AEW and did a great job of it. And then Claudio came back with absolute fire for him after Okada walked off. So I was thrilled with this. Am I now a little upset that this is happening on Dynamite? Yes, but great job out of these guys. I came in with, I guess, low expectations or no expectations. I wasn't really sure what to expect. Then I saw it was a backstage segment, and I was just like, oh, this might not be that good. And then they blew me away. Great job out of both of these guys, which I guess I should expect because they're two of the best.
Yeah.
At least in the ring.
This has been a match that's been on my, not all-time dream list, but it's like, I need to see this matchup. I've had this on my want list for a very long time.
Give them an hour.
Right? Oh, absolutely. Give them an hour. Give them 2 out of 3 falls, whatever. Just don't punch a wall, okay?
I've done that. Put a hole in it. Not worth it.
Not as an intimidation factor, though.
No, I was just really pissed.
Exactly. We leave. We're men. We go elsewhere before we get angry. I'm super hyped for this matchup. I think it's, unfortunately, because it's on Dynamite, a pretty predictable outcome.
Probably. And I think, as I was saying earlier, Okada, I think, is going to remain the champ past the Continental Classic, or at least through it. So
yeah, through it. I think I'm still trying to figure out how Moxley is not going to be on this show. So in my head, I think it's Okada beats Claudio, and then Mox comes out, and that sets up for All In, which would be crazy to do with no build whatsoever. But again, I don't understand how Moxley is not on this show. And I feel bad that I'm overlooking Claudio, but
yeah, have Mox and Okada faced off? I feel like they've had to,
they've
right?
Never had a one-on-one.
Okay, that makes sense. But they've
never had I think they wrestled in a fatal 4-way, and I think they wrestled in a tag team match. but I think that's it. And they've never gone one-on-one. It was a big match that New Japan and AEW were both trying to make happen, but it never happened because of the booking.
Yeah, just the way things were, yeah.
Yeah, like, no, but also, like, New Japan didn't want Okada to lose. Tony didn't want Mox to lose. It was a weird position to be in. But regardless, I don't want to focus too much on Mox here. Claudio is going to give Okada a fight. I think it's going to be one of the best matches Okada's had since signing with AEW. And I was a little thrown in the promo where Claudio's talking about being in the tournament and Okada's talking about being the best tournament wrestler, but wasn't in the tournament for this belt. He won it after the fact.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I don't know why he said like he was the one who like won the tournament. It was Eddie.
Yeah. So unless this was just the early signs of them hyping up the tournament, like the upcoming tournament, I don't know. Or it was just a way of like Claudio said, I didn't make it in the tournament, and Okada saying, I would have.
Yeah, I don't even need the tournament. I'm that good.
But I did think it was a little weird to address when he wasn't the tournament winner. So good segment. I'm hyped for the match. I didn't need this segment to be hyped for the match, but I'm hyped for the match.
Yeah, it's one of those matches where it's just like, you're giving me this for free. I'm going to love it. But now I want to watch it even more because they threw something behind it.
Yes.
Sometimes, especially on something that's just going to be on TV, you throw one little segment behind it and it's got a lot more to it because now you see how much these guys, either don't like each other or, you just see how much it means to Claudio and how much he savors the competition because he's calling out the Rainmaker, the true Rainmaker, and not, the jokey guy who says bitch all the time.
Yeah.
You just do that and you make this match, the anticipation for it just goes up tenfold.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things where the occasional criticism, or it's actually a constant criticism, but it's only true occasionally, of AEW where they don't build to their matches.
Yeah.
If you didn't do anything for this match, would I have enjoyed it very much? Yes. Would I have been excited for it? Yes. But you throw a little something behind it, and I'm that much more excited for it.
It creates gravitas to it. It definitely creates a gravitas. Yeah, strong agree. I do want to correct myself on one thing. I just did a little reread. Orange was in All In last year.
Yeah, I was trying to look through the
Stadium Stampede.
Oh, yeah.
It was him, the best RIP, the best friends, Penta and Eddie against the Blackpool Combat Club, Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah, because those two guys stuck around. I honestly forgot about that match because it was such a weird one. Because I remember where Bryan was. I don't remember if he was otherwise occupied or
he was hurt.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he came back early for All Out to replace Punk.
Right. So, yeah, I think what I'm actually curious about now is the Continental Classic because I hadn't realized it had been so long. So I'm curious to see what they do with it. I do think Jay is a very, very good option to win, as he threw out the gun there, especially because
No, that's not who the gun was for.
Oh, who was it for?
Kenny.
Oh, could possibly be Kenny too if he's healthy. I had been hearing that Jay has been off TV because they do want to kind of rebrand him a bit back to what he was more in Japan, and winning the Continental Classic could do that for him. I'm curious to see if Okada's in it. So you do have this, same way when you have the IWGP champ in the G1, I'm curious to see if he wants to be in it so that, he can just win and then not have to face anybody, for his title. But
if I remember correctly from how they described it last year, he will be in it.
Okay, cool.
He will be in it, and the title will be obviously on the line. And obviously, if he loses one match, he doesn't lose the belt.
But if he loses the tournament, then he loses the belt.
The belt. Yes.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was curious to see if it was for the belt, like the whole thing was for the belt again, or if the winner just got a shot at Okada, whatever it was. So I like it the first way better though. Make it for the belt. It'd be cooler.
No, I agree.
It forces that person into the tournament, and especially considering it's Okada, I'm excited.
Mr. I'm the best tournament wrestler there is.
Yeah, so we'll prove it. Bitch.
And I'm going to tell you now. I don't care how predictable it is. Have Okada in one color, blue or gold. Have Kenny in the other, and then let the finals be Kenny versus Okada.
Yeah, the only pushback I have is Jay White. Other than that, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And that's assuming Kenny is healthy. If he's not healthy, I'll take Jay versus Okada.
I mean, the rumor, too, is also, especially because of Ibushi talking about it, Kenny and Ibushi are going to come back as a tag team. Because,
Golden Lovers.
Hey, we've been talking about that tag team division needing a boost.
Yeah.
I was going
to say, and then going after the Bucks makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. I think, ideally, this plays out. Hangman versus Okada, the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks. And I don't know who you have go against Perry on the elite side of things.
Oh, well, I mean, Darby's getting, he's getting thrown to the scapegoat already. So it'll be interesting to see. It's got to be somebody who can take that title off of him. So.
It's got to be someone who can take the title, but also fits with the Golden Lovers and Hangman, in my opinion. I just don't know who that is.
Yeah, tough call.
Yeah.
Although Hangman, I get why Hangman's going against Okada, but he's doing such other stuff right now. It's almost a tough call. But we'll get to all that when we get to it. Moving on, we then went to another backstage interview. I think this was after commercial. This time with Christian Cage and the rest of the patriarchy. We are coming off of Collision, where Christian was the special guest referee for the number one contendership to their trios titles. It was between the House of Black and the Bang Bang Gang. Christian ended up calling a double count out as neither side could answer a 10 count. And
sure. He speared Buddy Matthews at 9. He had to be up for the spear. But whatever.
Anyway, Renee asks Christian about the matter of who's going to face him at Wembley now that both of these teams have lost or not lost because of the double count out. And Christian says that he's sure some other team will step up. But as for the match, he called that right down the middle. He then went on some rant about getting all of the titles in AEW. I don't know what that was about.
He said he's using this title reign to get him back towards the World Heavyweight Championship. So he intends on winning every championship in AEW until he gets the World Championship.
Yeah, well, there was some other guy he faced that wanted to do that. Go for it, buddy. In the meantime, though, Nick Wayne has a match with the fatherless, creepy Kip Sabian. But Christian's not going to be there for that because he doesn't want to associate himself with the people of Virginia. Renee asked him if that's actually because he's trying to protect himself, whether it be from House of Black or Bang Bang Gang, wherever it is. And this question enrages Christian, who says that Renee has been rude to him since he has been there, and he throws her off of his set, saying that she should go back to being a mother, and she's a bad interviewer. And then he says, "You're probably a worse mother than you are an interviewer," which set the crowd off and has clearly set James off. You probably had a lot of emotions during this episode because there's something later we're going to get to, and I'm guarantee you cried. Christian then announces, he goes on just a complete rant and says that he and the patriarchy will always and forever will be the faces of TNT. So, yes, James, a lot of disrespect to Renee this episode.
Not that she needs any man to fight for her, but where the fuck is Moxley?
Where the fuck does Christian get off, man?
Right? Christian,
I thought this was just about fathers. What the hell?
Ripping that microphone out of her hand. I almost jumped through the goddamn television. You do not mess with Canada's princess, Renee Paquette. But look, I'm so confused by a lot of these tag team builds. Like, we're gonna get into the tag team match in a bit. Obviously, I think that's next.
Almost.
Oh,
We have one little promo in the middle there.
I don't know how you keep House of Black off the card, and I don't know how you keep the Bang Bang Gang off the card. I guess it's a little bit easier to justify the Bang Bang Gang if Jay White's not actively wrestling on that team, but it still feels weird.
So here's my thing. I've been calling it for a while that we're going to get this triple threat, right?
I have two. I have two, but go ahead.
But the thing is, you've also been calling, and I've been disagreeing, and as you said, we're going to get to the tag match in a couple of segments, but that you've been saying that's also going to be a triple threat. And I was like, no, they're clearly lining up the trios for a triple threat. Why are you going to do both? They're going to do both, aren't they?
It feels like it.
Why?
So here's the one thing, even though it feels like you're stepping on yourself, like WrestleMania, this is the biggest show of the year, and you want to get as many people on the card as possible. I recognize that. I recognize this is supposed to be your biggest show, your biggest payday. You get as many stars as possible on it to stuff your card, and you also want to get as many people paid as possible. So for that, I am willing to accept 2 tag team triple threats. It feels weird. It feels lazy, but I think the key, one of them should be a gimmicked match.
I was going to say, can one of them be Tornado at least?
Yeah. I think one of them should be a gimmick of some sort. It's the only way, like, granted, whichever one the other one isn't will then really need to, like, be a 5-star classic to be remembered in comparison. But, man, it really just felt lazy getting here.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be dick. I feel like the trios match is going to end up being either in the middle of the card or in a cooldown spot, as opposed to the tag match, which I think is probably, because it'll most likely be a triple threat, it'll probably be in a little bit more of a prominent position. But I mean, it's weird. Both of these, and we talked about this last week. Both of these divisions are languishing at the moment, and you're very clearly setting up 2 triple threats for pretty much the only 3 teams that are worth a damn in either division.
And the bummer of it all is, in both matches, there is no opportunity to coronate a new champion. House of Black have been the trios champions already. Bang Bang Gang were literally the previous trios champions. The tag title side, we've had the Acclaimed as champions. We know we've had FTR as champions. So it's like, no matter who wins, we've been there, you know?
Yeah, and both of these they lack some of the excitement I think some of the other matches on the card have.
I agree. And the bummer is they're going to be good matches.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to be good matches. It's just there is no energy left in those combinations, in my opinion. Less so with the trios. With the trios, it's like, all right, Bang Bang Gang versus House of Black versus the Patriarchy. It's going to be different. You know, they've only recently started interacting. Those 9 men. But with the tag team match, FTR Bucks, literally, we've had 4.
Yep. And the last one was at the last All In.
Yeah.
So
weird way to book, but again, golden lovers.
Well, you keep praying, and I'll keep things moving here as we went to our next segment, where we had an in-ring interview with Hook. Shivani actually started off this segment by telling Christian that on behalf of all people from Virginia, they don't want him anywhere.
I love Shivani. I love Shivani.
So he can shove off. And then Shivani calls Hook down. So Tony asks Hook how his eye's doing, and Hook is just like, well, Tony, I can't see. And pretty clearly can't see out of this eye.
I was right. I called the eye patch last week.
Was it a full-blown eye patch?
Well, he just has a bandage that goes around.
Yeah.
But still, you thought it was like his beanie that was just down.
I think last week it also might have been a black bandage, because I still couldn't see the bandage itself because it blended into the beanie. But
yeah,
either way,
What,
Motherfucker's
tonight?
blind. No,
Tonight?
last week.
Oh,
No,
last week. Yeah.
Last week I thought it was black. This week it was a very clearly white bandage.
Yeah.
Hook then turns his attention to Jericho, though, saying, "Do you see the problem here, Chris? I can still see out of the other eye, so I'm still going to be coming for you." And he then calls Jericho out for an FTW championship match right there and then. Jericho comes out with Bill and Brian Keith and calls Hook the stupid son of a bitch, asking why he wants a fight with the learning tree after he burned his eye with a fireball. Jericho then briefly plays like he's going to accept Hook's match before saying it's not worth his time to do it right now. However, Wembley is worth of his time, and he's willing to have a match for the FTW championship at All In if Hook is willing to agree to a couple of things. First, when Hook loses, he can't challenge for the FTW for the World Championship anymore. I don't know if that just means while Jericho has it or forever or whatever or what, but that's what Jericho said. And Hook will also be done with the Learning Tree and the Jericho Vortex forever, which Taz jokes actually isn't that bad of a thing. The other thing that Hook has to agree to is that he has to have a match with Big Bill next week. And Bill says that he is going to take Hook and shove him right up Taz's ass.
All right. I'm so sorry. The best part about this whole thing was Taz laughed when he heard that. When he heard Big Bill say, "I'm going to take your head and shove it up Taz's ass," Taz chuckled. And then he muffled it. He tried muffling it afterwards, but he laughed. And it made this whatever segment so much better.
It was kind of fun. Hook Corpse, too. He thought it was pretty funny as well. I did like Bill's delivery of it, too, where he was like, "I'm going to shove your head up." And then he was going to say, like, "Your ass." And then he looked behind him and he thought better of it. It's like, "I'm going to shove your head up Taz's ass." So I like that a lot. Great delivery from Bill.
Can I ask you go ahead.
Just to finish things up here, Hook does agree to these stipulations, saying he's been wanting to dump Big Bitch on his big head for a long time now. And as for Jericho, after Wembley, he will never, ever be the same again. What was your question? I'm sorry.
This is it's a random question. It's just so commentary was up top by the ramp, by the stage tonight. Do you prefer them ringside or do you prefer them on the ramp?
I don't really have an opinion. It's fun. The dynamics play differently, obviously, when the table is down by the ring, because then the table can occasionally come into play with certain matches. Doesn't really bug me either way. I did kind of like it in the beginning when they were always up top, just because it was different from WWE, and I just like the fresh perspective of, down at the ring is just the ring, and we're just going to be doing the wrestling down there. But I'm so used to having announced us down by the ring, it doesn't bug me either way.
Okay. All right.
As for this promo, though, James, it was good. Hook had a couple of good lines. He's getting better at talking, especially considering, I think for the first year he was in AEW, he only said 3 words. He did most of his talking with a bag of chips. But I don't know. It's not that I don't care about this. I'm going to care more when Joe comes back.
I do agree. Unfortunately, it sucks because I like Hook. Yeah, I like Shibata. I like Brian Keith. I like Big Bill. I like Taz. And yeah, I know what I'm doing.
And also Chris Jericho, ladies and gentlemen. He's there.
He is there.
Yeah.
He's there a lot. But I kind of want Hook to lose.
It makes things interesting.
It's weird. It's not like I'm rooting for Jericho. Like I've been saying this all night. I'm rooting for people because it's just like how interesting it would be. Like, I don't want Hook to be the FTW guy. I don't want that to be his career. Like, I would love to see Hook win the TNT title or the Continental Crown or the American National title. I don't know. I would love to see him actually develop in AEW. Granted, granted, I think everyone has been very clear on Team Taz's side. They want Hook to go to NXT at some point. So I get maybe not putting too much into him. I get not wanting to invest too much into him. But regardless of all that, I guess I'm going to go with the happy ending of wanting Hook to win. But one, I don't know where Jericho goes from here because I don't want him doing anything more important than what he's currently doing. But I don't know where Hook goes. It's not that I don't know where Hook goes from here. I guess, again, we're just waiting on Joe.
And that's the problem, I think, because you're really putting yourself in a corner here with this, oh, you can't interact with the learning tree anymore if you lose thing. Because if he loses and you can't go for the title anymore, fine. Joe comes back, he wins the title, and then Hook can face him for it down the road, the way you've been saying. But the you can't interact anymore thing kind of keeps Hook out of any comeuppance that Hook, Joe, and Shibata could get as a trio against the learning tree. So that almost makes it so that he has to win, but then this kills the feud to an extent because Jericho lost. And what, are you going to keep him in the vortex? just to wait out Joe and his filming schedule? It's like, why are we doing this? And it's almost like, why are we doing this at all? But why are we adding this stipulation that is just putting your back against the wall either way?
AEW and stipulations that hurt my heart and my head. It started with Cody. It started with Cody, and here we are.
It really did. It just, I don't know what you are planning to accomplish by this, I think is my big thing. You want to have Hook Jericho again at Wembley for the title? Fine. But either way, win or loss for Hook, it's just, I just don't think the look is great here. I really don't.
I might be a little conspiracy theory-y with this, but maybe they're doing it so Hook loses, so you have more fear for Bryan later in the night. Like these stipulations of you seeing these guys putting it on the line and then losing. But I don't know, man. I don't know. But it would add an interesting dynamic to it, though, if he can't get involved in the learning tree stuff, but Joe and Shibata keep it going with somebody else. I don't know who, but it's convoluted. But yeah,
it kills everything.
Hey, so maybe it gets Taz back in.
Yeah, okay.
I've been dreaming of Taz back in the ring since ECW One Night Stand.
The only thing I want out of Taz, and I don't know if he'd be able to do it. I'm guessing he would. Just put somebody in a Taz mission, please.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm here for it.
That's all we want.
Yep. Don't take a bump. I do not need you to take a bump.
Yeah, no bumps.
Just Taz mission.
Didn't he kind of take one already with Jericho? Am I tripping?
He fell. He got pushed, and then he fell onto his knee. And we were all like, why are you selling the knee when we all know you're retired because of your neck? And he was like, I need surgery on my knee. And it was
both of them. I think he said he need double knee replacement. So we probably won't see him doing anything until then.
It's just selfish. It's just selfish. Let me see my little Taz guy fucking choke people out.
Bring back the towel.
Yes, absolutely.
But no matter what, like I said, I think this is a weird choice here with this whole Hook Jericho dynamic heading into All In. Hopefully it plays out well for everybody, but Joe having this time to have to go film kind of killed everything that was happening.
Terrible
not blaming Joe. I'm not blaming Joe, but it was terrible.
I blame Will Arnett.
Yeah, it was terrible timing, and it's left us with a bit of a mess. Moving on now to what is another mess. We went to the Young Bucks for the versus the Acclaimed for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Before the match, as the Bucks were making their entrance, the Acclaimed actually jumped them, and they got the drop on them a little bit, but it was the Bucks who actually came out ahead in the brawl as they had control once the bell finally rang.
I kind of like that. I do kind of like that. I like when you see the guys who get jumped actually were like, nope, failed.
Yeah, I think we see it a pretty 50-50 amount in AEW.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
We also had, after commercial, Billy Gunn, who had come down right around the time they went into commercial break. He came down the ringside, and he got ejected from ringside by referee Rick Knox when Matthew, he was in the corner, and he grabbed a chair. I don't know if he was trying to go after Billy with it, whatever he was doing, but he just threw it at Billy, and Billy caught it, and Matthew's on the floor, like pretending like, oh my God, please don't hit me, like begging. And Rick Knox saw it, and because he gets paid by the Bucks, he ejected Billy from ringside because it looked like he might hit Matthew with the chair. Anyway, as for the rest of this match, it was okay, and then it finally started getting going. And after countering what was probably going to be a TK driver, Matthew then drove Caster into Knox, and that allowed Matthew to kick him right in the dick. Matthew then went outside the ring to the timekeeper's area and grabbed his title, and he went back in the ring to hit Caster with it. But then FTR came out, and Dax grabbed the title away from Matthew and prevented him from hitting Caster. Dax raises the title at Matthew, but he decides to lower it, and then Matthew spits in his face, so Dax gets pissed off, double legs him, starts laying in punches. Knox wakes up, DQ, match is over. Bucks win and retain via disqualification. As the Bucks retreat, Daddy Ass comes back down to the ring in defense of Caster, who's super pissed off that FTR has once again stuck their nose in the Acclaimed's business and cost them a title opportunity. Dax and Cash try to explain that Matthew was going to hit him with the title and we saved you, but Caster's not having it, and Bowens and Billy try to kind of hold him back while also arguing with FTR because Caster starts shoving them, and then security spilled in the ring and pulled everybody apart to keep them separated. Backstage, we had Renee, who was all over the place tonight, standing there with Christopher Daniels, and she says, I was going to ask you one thing, but now I got to ask you what the hell you're going to do here.
Wait, hold on. Can I comment on that a little bit? As they're watching the video, which, by the way, great television placement, great body placement.
No, it's not as good as this one, though.
Yeah, no. Daniels looks like he needs a Tylenol
and a drink.
I mean, not together, not combined.
Yeah, no. You got to Advil if you're drinking.
Anyway,
Tylenol goes through your liver. If you're drinking while on Tylenol, it's bad for your liver. Advil while drinking is not good either. I'm just saying.
Yes, but let's not advocate for any of them. But Renee was just eating it up. He's like, she was feasting on the drama of it all.
And he is so exasperated.
It was a fantastic yin-yang situation right there between the two of them. I thought it was great. That's the type of Renee content that I'm here for.
Anyway, Daniels responds to her question that without a definitive winner tonight, there's not much he can do. He was going to declare FTR the number one contenders had the Acclaimed lost, but now he can't. So what he decides to do is he makes FTR versus the Acclaimed on Collision, and the winner of that will be the number one contender. Yes, first of all, that's why this wasn't the main event, because I was like, why is the title match not main eventing? That's why. But also, there's just a lot going on here. This match was okay, and this is one of those things where, because I feel like, as we were kind of alluding to earlier, we're going to get this triple threat. They were probably keeping a lot in the tank for Wembley, that they didn't want to show off too much stuff. But because of that, this match never really got going. The second it started to pick up a little bit, ref bump, dick kick, FTR. Yep. So we didn't really get anything, and there was still no resolution to this. We have to go to Collision for another match, which I also feel like is inevitably going to end up in a DQ or a double countout or something. And like we said, James, it's probably going to end up in this triple threat. So, and if not, we're going to either do the match we had tonight, or we're going to do the match we had last year at All In.
Yep.
So
none of it's appealing. None of it's super appealing.
Yeah, this goes back a lot to what we said last week. Tag team division is currently in a very difficult spot right now, and this is an obvious side effect of that.
Golden lovers, give me what I want. I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it.
All right, Paul Rudd, calm down.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Come on.
Please?
Please. Good. That was good. I love that we did a joke for the two of us.
Well, it's been a slow night in the comments. So
yeah, right? Thanks, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I feel validated by you saying that this never really picked up because I felt bad. I was like, this did nothing for me.
Because they didn't do anything.
Yeah, like it was a brawl in the beginning, a little bit of a match, a ref bump, shenanigans, and DQ finish. It is what it is. I like, for the sake of all this drama, I want it to be a triple threat. For the sake of the drama, I want it to be a triple threat. Otherwise, it's like you pointed out, what were we doing?
Yeah,
why did we get to where we ended up with either of those teams instead?
If we're going to go through all of this, you kind of have to do the triple threat.
Yes, that's it exactly. So, man, I don't know. We're going to go on a tangent. You ready? You ready to go on this journey with me?
I mean, we don't go on them, but sure, you could try.
One of the big things that came out this last week was people, of course, crapping on the Bucks for their usage on TV. That we haven't seen the Bucks weren't on TV last week. We haven't seen the Bucks on TV, I think, since they lost Blood and Guts.
Correct.
And this is their first title defense in 140 days, I think they said.
No, it's been that long?
I think so.
Actually, to be honest, I don't even remember who they beat for the title, so.
That's a great question. Were they vacant? No.
Yes, they were vacant. They won the tournament because they lost to Sting and Darby.
Yes.
But then I don't remember who they beat in the tournament.
Yeah.
I know they beat Private Party first round.
Irony.
It's a private party.
God, I'd kill for them to be tag champs at this point. I'd kill for it.
Okay.
But one of the big things is, why aren't they on TV more? Why aren't they defending the belts more? Why are the Bucks choosing to wrestle like this? And the big report was, they're not in charge of their booking. They aren't deciding this. This is Tony. This is per Meltzer and Alvarez, and I think SRS backed it up too, or reverse it. Maybe it was the other way around that they backed him up. That Tony is the one who's booking the Bucks, and it's based off of their dates. That when they renegotiated this new contract with AEW, they got more money and less dates. And Tony good for them. And Tony doesn't want to pay them for additional dates. So he's being very sparse in how he's using them.
Smart.
Supposedly, this deal was because the Bucks felt really betrayed in how AEW protected them with the whole Punk situation. And this was just them being very, very business-oriented. All that said, no, I will never get mad at any talent. And I learned this lesson. I will never get mad at any talent for demanding more money and trying to get less dates. If you can, good for you.
Yeah, especially, Bucks have a lot of mileage. It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Exactly.
So, shout out Indiana Jones. So, if they can do it, and obviously they're family men, they have young kids, they want to stay at home as much as possible. Yeah, secure the bag, put, less bumps on your body, and enjoy your lives. I'm okay with that. Yeah. And if this is how Tony's going to book them, fine. If he's the one who wanted to put the tag team titles on them, then so be it. I do like they do still have a bit of a presence on the show, even if they're not there. they are pulling some strings backstage with whatever power they can still wield, because, you know, you have things like them suspending Mercedes Moné or removing Taz from commentary when Jericho is at the table. So they are still mentioned. They do still have a little bit of a presence. As much as Nicholas, excuse me, I wish maybe we can get a couple more pre-tapes in just to set things up for the rest of the show. You know, they're going to be there. Just have them film like a month's worth of shit backstage or 3 episodes worth of shit, just so they're.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer decided my mic was unplugged for some reason. But as I was saying, even if it's just them, you know, filming some goofy backstage shit to set stuff up for the, you know, for the episode, or talking to Christian about things they might.
No, I hear you. I'm right there with you.
Whatever it is, just you can do shit to have them be present on the show without them being there. So, yeah, you can do the occasional, like my EVP friends did this for me, and not see them. But I'd like to see some more of that while seeing them, even if it's pre-tape. I don't really care.
Yeah. No, strong agree. And I hope that they can figure out the usage a little bit better, because like you said, even if it's just pre-tape stuff, I want to see them on the show every week.
Yeah, but I like the Bucks. I know people have fallen off of them, but I still do like the Bucks.
Oh, I love the Bucks. I understand the people who don't like the Bucks. I do. I fundamentally disagree with them. I think the Bucks are one of the best tag teams, not just of this generation, but ever. And I think if you dislike the Bucks, it's because of the outside of wrestling stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people who are very tribalistic over Punk and other things.
Yep.
But whichever way you want to go on that, you can't deny their in-ring talent. You can't deny the brand that they have built, not just AEW, but the brand for themselves. So they are one of the greatest, and I like watching them. I like listening to them talk. They're funny as hell still.
They are. They really are. And look, they're heels. They're exactly what they should be. They work best as heels, and we're getting shitty buck heels. It's great.
Yeah. And do they have to seriously adapt to continue that? Because everything they were doing as heels in Japan became very over here in America, so that when they came over, we all loved it. Yeah, they had to completely adapt and change into these corporate, assholes in order to remain heels. And they're still very self-centered people, which has always been their thing. But now they're just corporate self-centered people. And I think it works.
Yeah,
so
I agree. It's a great development of those characters.
Yes, especially because they were very anti-establishment for a very long time. So I wish they were on TV more, and I hope Tony figures out a way when, even if they're not going to be working a lot of dates, hopefully he can figure it out just so that we see them on our TVs a little bit more.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's trying to save them for when Kenny comes back and they really amp up the Elite feud, but who knows?
Now I almost low-key hope they lose the titles, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just to see the titles defended or on TV again, but at the same time, as we've been saying, the division's so dead, who gives a shit right now?
Yeah.
So
unfortunate, but true.
Maybe keeping it on.
Adam Cole could be the fourth guy.
Oh.
If you have the Golden Lovers, Hangman, and Adam Cole, I'm here for it. I am 100% willing to just mind wipe Undisputed Kingdom out of my brain and his involvement with it. He's inexplicably a babyface, and he works with them to take on the Elite. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It would be bad, but I would love it.
I'm sure you can work it out eventually, but yeah. Moving on, we had a video package for one Bryan Danielson. It was set to Green Day's Time of Your Life. James 100% cried. There's no doubt in my mind he cried to the point where I put it in the scroll at the bottom. Like before we even got here, it's in my notes. James 100% cried. It
wasn't right.
was beautiful. So
Yeah.
I am not that much of an emotional wreck when it comes to stuff like this, but I can understand why someone who loves him the way you do would get very, very emotional over this. And they kind of feel like it was the end. Time of your life is a real ender there.
I mean, I watched Deadpool and Wolverine. I know. All right. We're on week 3. And it's not even really a spoiler. It's a song that plays in the credits.
I know.
I'm being serious. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, we'll get into that after, I guess. This was a beautiful tribute. They played the song because Bryan mentioned it a while ago in an interview.
Oh, right.
Play this song at his funeral. So they played it here. It was a beautiful video. It highlighted not just who Bryan was on screen as a wrestler, it highlighted Bryan as a man backstage, all the friends he's made, all the people who love and respect him. And it went through. It had footage from Ring of Honor. It had original Ring of Honor. It had footage from New Japan. It had footage from AEW, and of course, there is unfortunately one glaring omission, and that's footage from his time in WWE. And do I get it?
Can't get those juicy NXT game show rights.
I get it. I absolutely get it. I think it's shitty on WWE's part, especially considering how many times AEW has allowed its wrestlers to take part in tributes on WWE TV. Like when John Cena was celebrating his 20th anniversary or whatever year anniversary, Bryan, Big Show, so many guys sent in videos. I think even Punk sent in videos honoring Cena on TV. So it would have been nice if WWE allowed AEW some footage from Bryan's time there.
Yeah.
But all that withstanding, it's not like Bryan doesn't have incredible highlights from every other company he's worked in as well. So beautiful, beautiful moment. And if this is the end, that is a beautiful tribute to a legendary wrestler.
See, that's why I don't think it's the end.
That's why I don't either. But I wanted to get through all of it, but you go.
I think there's two things. One, I think if it really was going to be his retirement, I think AEW would have pushed a lot harder to try to get some WWE footage.
Yeah.
So I think because maybe it's not, they didn't. I think Trips would have been a little bit more lenient because it's Bryan.
I think so too.
I'll give you some, even if it's just a still shot of him fucking holding the 2 titles up at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just that, I feel like they probably would have gave him something. Yeah. But if it's not his retirement, you don't have to try. Yeah. And the other thing, it feels really on the nose, right? Like,
and that's, yes. Thank you.
Oh, play this at my funeral. Okay, your funeral's going to be at Wembley. Let's play it now. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it feels too easy for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it feels like something Bryan would do to troll us.
Right.
He's all about screwing with people. And I think he wants us to believe this is the end so much. Uh-oh. Rev might be gone. And if he is gone, it's just me. Nope. It went to him. Why did it go to him? My bad, everybody. If this is the end, I think Bryan, or if this isn't the end, Bryan really, really, really wants us to believe it's the end. And I think they're going to do everything they can to sow as much doubt as possible, to sow as much fear as possible that the American Dragon is going to retire. And that's it. That's the end of the road. So I hope Rev is right, wherever he may be. I don't want to look up because that's making it too real for a joke. But I really want to believe Bryan isn't done. I really want to believe Bryan isn't done, and I really want to believe that this has all just been a very concentrated effort to throw us off the scent. But what do I know? I'm just a mark, everybody. But moving on past this beautiful, beautiful segment, he might be back. He might be back.
Whoever decided that your computer should just randomly restart without you telling it's okay, it should be drawn in court.
This is a new laptop, too.
Yeah, I don't know why the hell it does this sometimes. It's really, really weird.
It's all good. I held it together while you were gone.
Thank you. All right. Well, now that I'm back, I guess we might as well move on to the main event of the evening.
I was about to, so good timing.
I do have impeccable timing. And that saw Swerve Strickland face off against Bryan Danielson protege, Wheeler Yuta.
Both are true. He was a young whippersnapper.
Yes. Obviously, Bryan was in the front row for all of this watching, and I will jump to the end of this match. So after Swerve kicked out of the seatbelt, Yuta just stands up, and Swerve tried to throw in a shot. Yuta pretty much shrugged it off and then just paintbrushed the shit out of Swerve. To the point commentary thought Swerve really got hit. But no, Swerve just laughed it off. So Yuta started throwing in some more forearms that Swerve continued to laugh off until Yuta kicked him right in the gut. It looks like Swerve's a little dazed, and as Wheeler goes to stand over him, Swerve hits him with an uppercut headbutt, which is really cool.
Massive headbutt.
Yeah, and just knocks Wheeler on his ass. Swerve then hit 3 consecutive kill shots before going in and laying in Bryan stomps onto Yuta, and then finishes the match by dropping down to his knees and pummeling Yuta in the head until the referee calls for the end of the match, just via referee stoppage.
Yeah,
because Wheeler was out. Wheeler was out before the stomps. And then we had the stomps, and then Swerve just went down and started bashing his skull in. And finally, I think it was Remsburg figured out that Wheeler was out cold. However, Swerve wouldn't stop with these punches, so Bryan rushed into the ring, and Swerve just decided to bail out. Swerve then grabbed the mic and says that what he showed Bryan tonight was that he is the most dangerous man in wrestling, as he said last week. And that was just an example of what he's going to do to Bryan at Wembley. Swerve then asked Bryan if he's bringing his family to All In, saying that where Bryan sat tonight to watch him mutilate Wheeler Yuta is where Bryan's daughter is going to sit when Swerve does the same to him and ends his career. This way, Bryan can keep his promise that he's going to retire, because Swerve is going to force him to retire after he cripples Bryan.
So let's be clear. Go ahead. Finish up.
Swerve then tosses the mic away and looks like he's going to leave. So Bryan turns his attention back to Wheeler. And when he does so, Swerve sprints down into the ring, just cracks Bryan with the kill shot, and then stands over him, gesturing for Nana to bring his title over as he mockingly hits the yes chant in a very slow manner to end the show. So, James, this match was good. I like this match.
I did too.
I've always been a big Wheeler Yuta guy, and this is your prototypical Wheeler Yuta match where he is slightly outclassed because he's always facing somebody better than him, but he still looks like a kid who has a lot of potential because he's getting in good counters. He's getting in some interesting pinning combinations or what have you. Like, he looks like he belongs. But at the end, he just gets outclassed by the other performer. Yeah. And unfortunately for him, he was facing Swerve, who just kicked his shit in repeatedly.
Yeah.
So good job out of Yuta. And then afterwards, you have Swerve eviscerating Bryan on both the mic and in the head, and really leaning back into the killer he was. Before he got the title, and has seemingly been on more of a face run of late.
No, I absolutely. I don't know where to begin because there's so much to discuss with this. I guess with the match, Yuta definitely going to the Johnny Gargano school of selling, where he looked glassy-eyed. He looked like he wasn't home. He looked like he was gone. And just absolutely selling those kicks to the head. The kicks, the head being the reason why we haven't seen him in so long, as commentary said, which was that he had been recovering from concussion symptoms. Great matchup from the Kid and from Swerve. Swerve, like you said, showing off that killer instinct once again, toying with him, playing with his food.
He locked in the lapel lock at one point.
And I love that. I love that. And I was going to get to that right now, actually.
Stared Bryan down.
The lapel lock was my favorite part of the match, not just because of what Swerve was doing, but also because commentary acknowledged Wheeler was able to get out of it and then counter it into an ankle lock. And they said, guys, I don't know if you realize this, the Yuta might have just taught Swerve how to get out of the lapel lock.
Oh, see, I thought this was Shivani. I thought he had said Bryan probably gave Wheeler a tip about how to get out of it.
Maybe that's what he's. I'm 90% sure it was Swerve now knows how to get out of it.
Yeah. So, but either way, I think both are true.
Yes.
Both can be true. And then also, Shivani didn't think of that, did you, Taz? And Taz was like, no, I didn't. Good job out of you. You should do that more often.
I love their back and forth.
Dude, they were out of the gate getting on each other's case tonight. Yep. It was great.
They are like an old married couple, and I am here for it. They are the Statler and Ward. Who is the Muppets?
Wardolph. I never heard their names said out loud.
Right, I always read it. I always read it.
Yeah. Because it's not like the Wardolph hotel, but it's kind of spelled like that.
But I want to see Bryan lock in the little bell lock on Swerve, and Swerve gets out of it the way Yuta did. That's what I want to see. I want to see that story beat play out. So I love that here. I love that here. Yuta is so close. He's so good, and he's so close to, I feel like, being on that cusp of he's going to get the wins sooner than later. He's not just going to look good in the matches. He's going to get the wins. And I think we're closer to it than we've ever been before.
He is currently at the point where I know he's good in the ring, and he has been that for a while. And he has a better personality now that he's a member of the BCC than more so than he had with the Best Friends. And it was something he desperately needed.
Yes.
Now he just needs more of a character.
Absolutely. So he's a shitty, he is a little Chihuahua shit heel. That's what his character is. But they just don't let it get highlighted enough. And it's hard when you're surrounded by Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Claudio Castagnoli.
Yeah. And maybe they did that more on Ring of Honor, and hopefully he got really good at it there. But, we don't watch Ring of Honor every week because it's behind a fucking paywall. And it's 3 hours. But so hopefully he's developed more of a character. But we've been Wheeler fans. You and I have been Wheeler fans for a really long time. And he's going to get there soon. There's a lot of people above him.
Yes.
But I can see him making a TNT title run in the near future. Yeah.
No, I could too. Realistically, I could too.
Yeah.
He's someone I would love to see in the Continental Classic.
Yes. Garcia was this past year. Put him the Garcia role. Let him get some upset wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he'd be great.
Absolutely. Great main event. Swerve. He's just a heel, right? What are we doing here? Yeah, but when was all right? I know he's been a babyface since he's won the title, essentially.
Yeah, more or less.
But that's because we're cheering him. The only really altruistic babyface thing he did was go against the Elite. He's not a good guy.
He's not a bad guy. He kind
of is the bad guy. He kind of is.
I told you that his character is an old school gangbanger rapper. That's his character. So, and those are not good guys, even when they look like they're good guys in the music videos or out at the Source Awards or whatever. Although there's plenty of fights at the Source Awards back in the 90s, but out at an award shows, they come up, they're being cool, they're doing good interviews and stuff. But then they go home and they are dealing and shooting people and stuff. And we're not going that far on AEW television, but Swerve, that's what he is. And I do think you brought up another good part of his character, that he is very insecure about his spot.
Yeah.
Which makes sense that he would go after the Bucks because they threatened his spot before. So it makes sense that he would go after the Elite. It makes sense to him that he's also very insecure, I think, about his legacy. Taking out Bryan cements that.
Yep.
He will forever be the guy who retired Bryan Danielson. So you combine all of these things, and we will cheer him because occasionally, he'll be in the spotlight and he'll be playing kind of a face and like playing up to the crowd because, he needs the crowd to make money. But at the same time, he knows his spot is more important and his legacy is more important. And he will do whatever it takes, no matter what side that person is on, in order to keep that spot and cement that legacy.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny. It takes me back to his feud with Hangman, where he told Hangman from the beginning, like before the first matchup, he told him, "You're treating this very personally when this is just business for me." And it became personal with Hangman because Hangman screwed him after the loss.
Right.
But with Bryan, it's been personal out the gate. Bryan, I want to be world champion. I want to go out on my terms. And you have Swerve just, no, you're not going out on your terms. You're going out on my terms. I'm putting you out on my terms. And I wish they hit it on it. I'm very interested in next week because I want Bryan to get on the mic finally, because he has gotten verbally smacked by Swerve now 2 weeks in a row. I want Bryan to call him
tonight,
out.
literally.
Yeah, literally. I want Bryan to call him out on it next week. And I really hope he deals with the stuff that we're talking about, because I think it just adds so many dimensions to Swerve's character and so much depth to this feud.
Yeah, and I think that Swerve's character has shifted from when we first saw him going against Hangman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where this is just about my spot, it's not personal, to where his spot and his legacy is personal.
Yes.
And that's why he is making it so personal against everybody else he goes against. Whether it's Will, whether it's Bryan, whoever it may be.
Indubitably.
So it is made for a very compelling, intriguing character where he it's weird. Like he never really gets past a certain point of face. It's either like tweener or heel.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point he can go full blown face, but I don't think it's going to be in this title run.
And I don't think it'll be after either, because all the do you want to talk about rumors right now? Because there's the big rumor about All Out. It's not a spoiler because obviously we don't know. It's just speculation.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Because I haven't read it, so I'd like to be informed.
The big rumor right now is All Out is going to have a huge matchup in Swerve versus Hangman. And the rumor being that Hangman is going to get involved in the match at All In.
I figured that was a possibility. I don't want that, because if Bryan wins, I want him to win straight up.
So I had this conversation. You weren't a part of it, but this got brought up in the group chat, in the Market Down group chat. One of the big things was I'm for it, because if Bryan wins without realizing that Hangman helped him, let's say Hangman takes a shot at Swerve, Bryan doesn't know it, and then he takes the kill shot and he pins him off of it. Let's say with the Busaiko knee or whatever, or he locks him in the label lock, whatever. And then Bryan finds out that he didn't win on his own. I think that could lend to a great final storyline leading up to Wrestle Dream, which is presumably where he's going to retire, because it's in Washington.
Oh, okay. Well, I was kind of hoping he ended at, World's End or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that'd be great too.
Kill for Grand Slam, but
tickets
still available.
A lot of tickets still available.
Yeah, we're gonna end up in the We're gonna end up in the front row.
But I think if Bryan finds out that he didn't win the championship on his own, it creates a fun story of him feeling unworthy. So he feels the need to defend that championship every week or very frequently.
Yeah.
And he goes out on a true retirement goodbye tour. And then finally it's over in Washington.
Yeah, the Orange Cassidy, international championship.
Exactly.
I'm defending this every week run, and its body just gives out at the end.
Yes.
I'm curious to know who you think should retire him then.
I mean, you can make an argument that it could be Swerve again, who reclaims the title. You can make an argument for Hangman, who Bryan barely got through in the tournament to get to Swerve. Maybe you want it to be another Washington guy like Darby, but I don't think so. Because Darby already has the title shot at Grand Slam.
Right.
My wrestle dream.
Oh.
I'm not even sorry. is Kenny.
That would be also, I've used this phrase before, it'd be a nice bookend. It was his first match, that would be his last match.
Exactly. You have, granted, it's not like Kenny needs the rub or anything. It's not like he needs it. But to have a declarative winner between the two. And Kenny finally get the win over Bryan, but on much better terms. Like, they were both like very antagonistic that first match. But on this last match, we went to a draw. I believe you're the best. I believe I'm the best.
I need to know.
Best. Yeah.
I
would love for that to be the end. I would love for that to be the end.
I need him to face Nigel one last time too.
I'd be fine with yes. So I'm saying it right now. And if whoever wants to clip it. Nigel, you get your fucking ass away from the main event of All In. You cost Bryan that world championship. In kayfabe, I'm going to kill you. Not legit. I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested. Kayfabe. We're going to kill you. That's all.
I will say that Bryan said he's retiring full-time from wrestling. Doesn't mean he's not going to pop back in every once in a while.
Well, but that's the thing. If he loses to Swerve, he said he's done. He'll never wrestle again.
So, yeah, he's going to win. And then next year we get Nigel versus Bryan at All. Let's go. I need that match, man. I need it. Just because I'm going to miss Nigel talk shit about Bryan, man. So much.
I will too.
And I was like, Nigel did say he's been rolling around a bit on CVV's show. So
Nigel has said that he can go. Nigel has said many times he can wrestle another matchup.
He just hasn't found the need or the want or the desire. So, one time, Nigel, please.
But not at All In.
No, next year at All In.
He could. You know what? He could cost Bryan the title after All In. I would not be upset if whenever Bryan loses the title, it's because Nigel directly, I don't know, put a cigar out in his face. I don't care. I don't care. Just let him win the title.
It would be really funny if they did that and then it's set up for All In. Like Bryan just comes back like 2 months before All In, just beats the shit out of Nigel.
God. I want it.
It'd be great.
Let me get it. Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Look, I think I like your idea. The Hangman thing aside, if you're gonna do it, I do it that way where Bryan doesn't know that's why he won. I would much rather see him win clean to know he still got it.
I would too, but
I do like what you've presented as a storyline, and the one last ride, I'm gonna wrestle every week just to prove to myself that I should have had this title.
Yeah.
And then it ends when it ends. So, I do like that. So hopefully either way, though, he wins. I do not think that this is the end for Bryan, unless there's a medical thing we don't know about and he's got to actually fucking go.
He said in his interview with Renee, he is going to be getting a major surgery at the end of the year. Now, granted, is that something he's saying for storyline? Maybe. Or maybe it's true and he does need it. But maybe he's able to push it off until the end of the year, December. I don't know.
Yeah, or whenever Wrestle Dream is, even if he can do it till then. I don't remember.
I think it's November. Yeah,
because he also said in an interview, he was talking with Doc Sampson and was like, your neck is okay. We just have to make sure to maintain it and keep it that way. So maybe if he can do that one last big run, that might be difficult, but we'll see. I think a lot of how this goes does depend on his health.
Oh, absolutely. That's the number one thing here. Yeah, that's
because
the number one thing.
You may hate his daughter, but it would be nice for him to be able to pick her up.
She's 7. She's big enough. She don't need to be picked up.
So, dude, my cousin's like 16. I still pick her up. So, yeah, hopefully Bryan can win, and hopefully we can get one last big run out of him. But
I don't even need it to be a long run. It could literally go from All In to Wrestle Dream, where he just defends it every week or every other week.
Yeah, just a poignant one.
Yes.
I think would be the word there.
Please.
All right, and so on that begging, James, this was another episode of Dynamite. It was okay.
Yeah, no, I thought this one was much better than last week.
Definitely better than last week. I thought we got some good stuff out of here. I thought the opening match was good, and the things that happened subsequently. The MJF Ospreay promo package was actually pretty good for what it was. You had some good extended promo packages tonight. That alongside the Bryan one, which again made you cry. I really liked Mariah May's stuff tonight. I thought she was brilliant as usual. The Darby Jack fight was pretty good. So, this was definitely better than last week.
Absolutely.
And it definitely drove a lot more as we head, not even just to Dynamite next week, because as I'm thinking of it, the Claudio Okada stuff was good too, as they built for their match next week in Cardiff. But I think we've put a lot more foundation down for All In a couple of weeks.
I completely agree. I think, again, the path has been clear for a lot of people for a while, and I think in some instances it got a little clearer for others tonight. Like if you're in the tag division of any type, trio or two, I think the matches were fantastic tonight. I love that first match with Shida and Mercedes. I really love the triple threat.
That was very, very good.
I love the triple threat. And I think the main event was good for what it was. It was meant to be Swerve showing off a little bit, but I think Yuta did look good, and I think it told a story at the end. So I think we had some great wrestling, some great storytelling, and my brain can't really comprehend that we're so close to All In.
Right, it's weird.
It's weird how close we are to All In. But
I'm also in denial that it's August because I like the summer. So
summer, you and me both, brother. I'm not ready for summer to go.
Yeah, I'm not a fall. I hate the winter, and I think fall is the most overrated month ever, or season ever. Football does come back, and that's great. And we do get playoff
Good
baseball.
Things happen in the fall. Things happen in the fall. But the fall itself is whatever.
It's super overrated, and Pumpkin Spice is trash.
Let people like things.
No. You can like it, just stop throwing it in my face. And Uggs and quarter zips.
Right. Have you ever worn an Ugg? They're fun.
Sure, I'm sure they are, but they're populous as ants. Like they're all over the place. There's so many of them. Enough.
Okay.
I'm going on a tangent here.
Yeah, you okay?
No, I hate the fall. I could be here all night. We don't go on tangents. I do want to say though, because as I was breaking down everything that happened tonight again, I think we said last week, or maybe it was me who said this, I was very much hoping that we got some more stuff for other people this week.
Yeah.
Because so much of what happened last week pretty much cemented everything for those people.
Yeah.
And I think the main people in my head were MJF and Ospreay. Like, they're good here. We don't really need much more. And we got a whole lot of other people on the show tonight and allowed them to push their stuff forward for All In because they had the time this week.
Yeah.
Did we still get MJF and Ospreay? Yes. And they did get a decent chunk of time, but it was still just a promo package. Did we get more Mariah? Yes, but it was a very good promo package. And then at the same time, we finally got Britt back on the screen. We did continue to set up for Bryan and Swerve, but it was just one segment at the end. We're setting up for this casino gauntlet match. It was just a whole lot of other stuff that we hadn't really seen too much of the last couple of weeks that were able to breathe because I had the time.
Yep.
And they were able to help lay down some foundational work for All In. The tag match also, I think that was something that needed time. They finally got it.
Yeah.
Even though it was a mess. And they're doing a lot of the work for the trios on Collision, but it got some time here tonight as well. So good job by Tony just balancing out the last 2 weeks. And even if this one was probably a little bit better than the last week, just because I think stuff had to start to get a little repetitive last week, just good job allowing all this other stuff to come in, breathe, and get the time it needed. All right. So on that note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. Liking lets us know that you like the video, and we will continue to put out stuff like this. And, you know, we know that we're doing a good job. If you subscribe, you can continue to get all of our shows here at the Market Down Podcast. Obviously, we were back here every week for Dynamite. You got the Gym Pack Zone tomorrow, every Thursday for you TNA fans. We're starting to cover Raw more with Matt on Mondays, so be sure to check that out as well. We will be here for All In a couple of weeks, so you definitely want to subscribe so that you can come to the channel right after All In finishes and chop it up with us about that. We are getting closer to figuring out what the hell we're going to do for super subscribers. So if you subscribe,
we really, I know I've been saying it for weeks. We actually have some really fun ideas for you guys that I think it's going to be worth it. We want to make it as worth it for you guys as possible.
Exactly. We just don't want to start throwing, having you guys super subscribe without having anything out, or just start throwing stuff out so you guys can super subscribe. We want to make sure it is worth your money. It's more bang for your buck to make it a little Dynamite theme. So be sure to keep a lookout for that. We'll keep you guys posted both here on YouTube and our social media platforms. If you would like to follow us on any of those, you can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're here on YouTube, you can find all those links in the description below. For those of you listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you're over on one of our other platforms, I think we are streaming on Twitter and Facebook tonight. You can check us out on Twitter at marketdown_pod. Instagram is at marketdownpod. And YouTube is youtube.com/marketdown3665. No, we did not pick that number. James, anything else before we go?
Yes. Tomorrow on our social media, I will be announcing a very big giveaway. A very big giveaway. I'm not going to tell you for who, but I can tell you it will be merch and it will be an autograph. And should I give a hint?
Sure.
If you believe, the prize will appear.
You could have just left it at will if you believe, but that's very exciting. Nice. So yeah, now you definitely have to go subscribe to our social media stuff so that you can follow all of our instructions in order to enter. It's usually just following, liking, tweet, whatever.
Yeah.
So very simple stuff, and then you guys get cool shit. So be sure to check us out on all the social media platforms for that, and we'll be having more giveaways as we continue on. I know James has a bunch of stuff that he wants to get to you guys. So be sure to give us all the follows, please. So on that note, for James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everyone.